Welcome to a new episode of the Nomad Summit Podcast. Today we are sitting on beautiful Madeira Island in Funchal, actually in the brand new Madeira Friends Hub. There's beautiful weather outside, and next to me in the sun is sitting Lera of the Nomad Magazine.
Hi, Christoph. It's really nice to see you on the island where we actually met for the first time, if I'm not mistaken, 3 years ago. And it's good to have you back for this great episode.
Yeah, for me, it's about closing a chapter here this week. I had my personal home base, my winter home base on Madeira for the last couple of years. And today is the very last day. Tomorrow I'll fly out for probably quite a long time. And that's why I'm quite sentimental these days. Also because at this beautiful remote island in the middle of Atlantic Ocean, I made so many important connections and met so many interesting people. And one of them is definitely you, Lera.
Thank you.
And the connection that we have built between Nomad Summit and your amazing magazine. Today, we will talk a little bit about your personal story, what brought you here, how you entered this digital nomad community, and also a little bit about this very special connection between the magazine and Nomad Summit.
With pleasure, with pleasure.
The Nomad Summit Podcast.
So let's maybe start with your personal story. How did you become location independent?
I believe I had very typical digital nomad story that many people can share. I quit my job. I quit my relationships. I was actually engaged, so I left everything behind. I had a horse riding competition going. I've been horse riding since I was a kid. And I wanted to leave everything behind just to go and travel.
How long is that ago?
It was exactly 10 years ago. In 2 weeks, actually, exactly the day when I left Ukraine. And I remember that how I was freaked out because it was so emotional decision that I want to change, want to go somewhere on the island and not to spend another winter in Ukraine. And I didn't care where I'm going, what's going to happen. I didn't have any income, enough budget to go just travel and enjoy. I had maybe 2,000 and I decided that I want to go for 5 months. So 2,000 for 5 months is not enough. And the solution that I found is to find a volunteer job that would pay me as apartment and as food. And that was one of the very first co-working spaces in Thailand called Co-Hub in Koh Lanta Island. I didn't know what digital nomads are. I didn't know what co-working is. And honestly, I didn't care. And I had...
But they sucked you in. This
Yes.
community made you...
Yeah, and I had a return ticket, and all my friends were saying that I'm not going to come back, and I was swearing that I'm going to come back for the horses, for the family, for the job. But actually, they were right. I did not, all for 10 years.
So your friends knew you better than you did yourself.
Yeah, always.
Yeah, that's often the case. You should listen to your friends. So you listened to your friends and you did not return to Thailand. What happened then?
I changed my ticket and went to Hong Kong because the very first remote job, for your understanding, when I left Ukraine, I didn't know how to buy a domain. I didn't know what this hosting is. I had zero digital skills. My job was in Ukraine. I was working for Nike with the physical print and physical retail shops. I was doing marketing for the shops of Nike, events, stores. So nothing was digital. And then when I met this amazing group of digital nomads in the co-working space, I was a community manager. So that's why I had to be friends with everyone. So I had a lot of great conversations and everyone would tell me, you should find a remote job and continue traveling. And at first it seemed very unrealistic because I didn't know how and where to start and what can I do. My English was really bad back then. I could speak with people and then I was asked someone to translate because I didn't catch what they were saying, to repeat. So it was really bad. But then I started to try to go to courses and eventually somehow I found my first job that was in Hong Kong. And then I decided, and my boss said that, hey, we have an office and you want to stop by, you can live in the office. So I did.
You can live in the office.
I lived in the office, and it was hilarious because office in Hong Kong is very small, 3 rooms. One room was for the office. Another room was the guy was sleeping there, the owner of the apartment. Another room they rent out for the kindergarten, for the pole dancing, for the yoga, for the kitchen was rent out for the kitchen classes. So it was a mass apartment, and I was living like a mattress that was I had to hide it in the morning and then put it down. And I was so embarrassed back then, so I didn't share any of it back then. I was embarrassed in front of my friends that I had to live in such shitty conditions.
For how long did you do that?
I did that for months. I was really struggling financially in Hong Kong, but eventually I left to Bali. And in Bali, I felt I'm a queen, king, and I was living in a very beautiful place for $250 per month. And finally, I could feel more financially free. And also I found, Bali, you have always great time in Bali. So I had amazing time in Bali. And then I decided to come back home to Ukraine, but then I didn't stay long. I stayed 2 months and then left again. And that it's been like this 10 years. I'm coming back to Ukraine for 2 months. Then I go away, 2 months, go away. And I changed a lot of jobs. And since then, I gained a lot of great digital skills just because at some point I put a priority as a remote work and living location independence. And I never ever was searching for the office job in my life again.
And fast forward in 2025 now, you're settled on Madeira, you're married, you have an office. And right now we are here, it's more like a co-working space, but you have your own permanent office room here.
Yes.
So you kind of went full circle.
Yes. And I think 10 years, it's a good mark when there is at some point enough is enough. And I think I've done over these 10 years such amazing travel and experience and people, events, everything. And then at some point I became very honest with myself that maybe my bucket that was empty 10 years ago already finally full, and I can already look for something else than just filling up with experiences that doesn't fit in me anymore. And that's how I feel, that new experiences don't fit in me anymore. Instead, I feel that I want to create more, and I want to use everything, all the experiences and knowledges I gained for the purpose of something meaningful to me, first of all. And that actually magazine became that meaningful that I want to spend time on creating more than collecting experiences, after 10 years.
And the story of that magazine is strongly connected to the Nomad community. I mean, at first it's a magazine for the community. It's the Nomad Magazine, but also it all started at a pitching competition at the Nomad Cruise.
That's correct.
You had this crazy idea that you were probably a little bit shy about. And then someone encouraged you and like, come on, go on stage, pitch it and see how people react.
It started first time 7 years ago when I was in Ukraine, and I was talking with my friend, and I came to him and said, look, I really want to have a media to be for the digital nomads. It's growing so fast. There's so many great projects, so many great people. And, I feel like there's something missing, but I don't know where to start. And he said that maybe I should start small first and start with events. That's how I started my old project, What's Up Nomads. And then with the podcast, I had a podcast Russian speaking that called No Office Anymore. And it was quite going well. So I started slow, but then this magazine idea was coming back to me over and over, very annoyingly coming back. And I just
was haunting you.
Was
like
haunting
a nightmare.
me. And since then, I started to talk with people that I knew from media. So I passively was collecting information about this type of the business. And everyone was saying that it's not easy, it's really hard, it's hard financially, and it's a lot of work. And I had this idea, but I did not really think that I will actually do it. Until Nomad Cruise, I decided before do anything else, I would go on the stage and ask what people think about that idea. If they would say it sucks, I would just put it on the shelf and then forget about it. If they say it's a good idea, maybe I will start something with this. And what turned out that it just became a huge ball that was started to go with a full speed, with people jumping in, helping, introducing me. So that moment was for me a sign that it's a chance to make it work. And I'm ready for it. I have time. I'm not eager to travel full time anymore. I have amazing office as Madeira, and Madeira is perfect place for productivity. And I took it and I had good income. I had savings. I could invest myself into this project. So I took a leap.
And you created something really, really beautiful. When I first heard from you about this project, I was immediately amazed because it threw me back in memory. I founded a magazine myself when I was in the 7th grade of school, a pupils magazine that we sold at school, like going from classroom to classroom during classes, and sold that to the students there. And it's actually for me also a thing that I might today call it the beginning of my career. I mean, after high school, I started with an advertising and design agency that I had founded together with a designer. But I was always fascinated, and it all started with the students magazine, like creating the concept, talking to the editors, putting the magazine together, negotiating with printing factories, selling ads, like putting that all together, and by the end of the process, having something physical in your hand that's also not only one, but I think back then we printed like 500 or something. It was a big school with 1,200 students. So having something that many people read and talk about, I absolutely get this fascination. I personally never came back to it after school, but
Good. Don't.
Yeah, because I know what the hassle is and how hard it is. But also there is the reward on the other side. And if I see your magazine, now we have the 3rd issue out. You issued, or you released it this year at Bansko Nomad Fest. Seeing the persistence that you have, this continuity, and actually keep a quality level, that's amazing. That is something that is very haptic, something designed very beautifully. And now you're working on the 4th issue, and maybe it will be released in Chiang Mai with the Nomad Summit in January. Let's see.
No pressure.
Would be a beautiful occasion, but yeah, I have no doubt that the 4th one will be of the very same design quality, visual quality.
You know, I believe that I had to live this digital nomad lifestyle for a while until I pulled together the magazine like this. Possibly, if I would be just in the beginning of my years of digital nomads, I would probably not even think about it. But for me, it's like a life cycle of becoming a digital nomad. And the first year, you're so hungry for experiences, for people, travel, everything. And I was extremely hungry for the first 5 years. Like, I was jumping in every single opportunity I had. Every single country was in my way. And I was literally very hungry. I was going anywhere. But then after that, it's just all of these experiences and people that I met came together that this magazine can represent everything we talk about. Because also back home, people were asking, what is this? What people talk about? Well, how people think, where to find these people? What are these events? And I always was struggling which influencer to send them to gather this information. So I hope that will help to bring back to the community.
That's how you started also with the first name, Nomad Gossip Magazine.
Yeah.
Now, in the meantime, you've dropped the gossip. How did that happen?
There was another magazine, well, Gossip, no one really liked the Gossip name, but the reason, there was another magazine that was the Nomad Magazine that they stopped publishing 1 year ago. So I waited for 1 more year to see if they start republishing again. They did not. So I decided that they dropped all the legal also name registration, and I thought it's a sign for me to take over the Nomad Magazine.
The Nomad Summit Podcast is also and mainly a platform for understanding and hearing about people's personal story, and also a little bit about the struggles behind the businesses. And I guess there's a lot of moments, there has been a lot of moments in the past where you were thinking like, this shit, I'm stopping this. What did I get myself into?
every single week. Look, to one person when on a cruise, he told me that, I had a full-time job. And my initial idea was to quit my job, have enough savings, and start full-time whatever business I want to have. And he told me, well, don't do it. Start on the side. And when it starts kicking in, then you can quit your job and can keep going. So what happened that I had my full-time job for US company, which if you're aware of what US job means, it's very hectic. It's a lot of calls. It's a lot of deadlines. So it's stressful on its own. And then I started magazine on this side. So I was making money in my full-time job and investing in the magazine. And this is the first struggle, is lack of time and lack of energy. I would work on the magazine before my work and after my work on the weekends. And eventually over the 2 years, I had to change my lifestyle. So I have no weekend. I don't have personal time. I cut all my time with friends. Seeing you, for example, going out, all of this dinner with friends became for me inaccessible because I had to spend all the time on building the magazine. That was the only time, free time, when I could work on the magazine. And it affects mentally, it affects physically. I was tired, I was burned out, I don't know how many times, maybe once per month. And it ends up just mentally hard to handle it and just recover and keep going again. And then I'm again in this deep shit, and then I have to put myself together and keep going and keep going. So on that level, right now, I'm finally quitting my job and will be able to full-time focus on magazine. And I believe it is going to be so much easier. But also in the beginning, you don't know what are you doing? So you're doing a lot of mistakes, and you're trying your best, and things, you do so many things, and nothing of this works. And for me, I had to first figure out how to do magazine at all. So I turned into became my mentor, a person who knew how the magazine or business works. And we started to have a call every week, and I would tell her where I am, and she would advise me what else I can do. And that was a game changer, honestly. So if you start a business that you have no clue how to do, I would highly recommend to find a person from your business industry and ask to become your mentor.
How did you find yours?
Through recommendations.
And then you just approached this person and asked her, do you want to be my mentor?
Yeah, I had, in the first 3 months, I was asking anyone who knew people, founders from magazines or people from the industry. And I was talking with every single person I was introduced to. And I really like her approach. And then I asked, look, if I pay you for 1 hour, your time every week, would it be suitable for you to help me with this? And I think she was in her career change. So this extra income was very good for her. And she had such a great experience. She wanted to share it. And that was my life-saving. She saved my magazine.
Wow. That's impressive. So you quit your job, you had this mentor, and now you're at the point where Nomad Magazine is your full-time occupation.
Yes, gonna be soon, yes.
So you've tried a lot of things in the meantime, and the magazine speaks for itself. It's a beautiful paper magazine that you often find in co-working spaces all around the world. At these Nomad events, you often have them. We had a bunch at last Nomad Summit in Chiang Mai, and I'm pretty sure with the next one we will have volume 3 or volume 4 there. So for every attendee of the Nomad Summit, if you haven't seen the magazine yet, we will surely have something for you in Chiang Mai. But you've also tried other things, like a YouTube channel, like socials, like newsletters, a site. Share a little bit with our audience what you experienced with that, was what works, what doesn't work. What was your approach with testing things out and then maybe dropping
digital something? Perspective? The magazine, the print magazine, became our main product. So we put all our effort, first of all, over there. But also, in these days, you cannot stay just print, so you have to be present digitally as well. And we made our focus our Instagram and accidentally became YouTube because I started to do video interviews and video episodes for Instagram. And then they became, I have the episodes, so I just uploaded to YouTube and it started naturally grow and have some views. We did, for example, the very first long one was in Buenos Aires and it went up to 10K when I had 25 subscribers. That was the first sign that I should put my time in it. YouTube slow, everything grows in the beginning super slow. You put a lot of effort, you put everyday consistency, but the amount of subscribers just growing extremely slow and it's very annoying in the beginning. But there is always a moment when things start picking up. So if you do long enough and try experimenting on different things, then it's easier to find what it works. But for example, on newsletter, we were been doing a bi-weekly and at some point we gave up because the growing is so slow. We put a lot of effort and we took this capacity from another places maybe where our attention should be going. So we slowed down on the newsletter, even though it's growing. But say Instagram and YouTube became our main channels. And we, of course, focus now on, we want to be more present also in digital articles, which we haven't done before, and be more like digital magazine as well, not only magazine, but we are slowly moving towards that direction. And we want to also try a free version of more frequent publication that will be available only digital and for free. For example, once per quarter. And that will more have the information about events and more time-sensitive information and announcement for this. But in the beginning, whenever you start, be ready that the first year you're gonna just put the effort for and have no results, and only after it will start paying off.
If you could now reach out to the audience of this podcast, do you need people who write articles? Do you need people who help distribute? Do you need more ads? What is it what you would need most right now?
For the last 2 years, my bottleneck was my job. And now I'm taking away this bottleneck because I literally didn't have time to take opportunities that were coming my way. And now the bottleneck, no, we are quite good in operations, actually. I have an amazing team right now that we have an editor and writer. I have a person who is working with partners. I have a marketing person. Of course, you always can use more hands, but I think the financial part is my bottleneck, and that's me. That's me and my time. If I put my time into partnerships and sponsorship, finding more revenue streams, then I can keep my team more financially sustainable and maybe grow my team, hopefully. In the future, I want to have more like reporters from different sides of the world. Right now we work for everyone, but to having reporters that would give us and write information from different continents and different countries, that would be my ideal where we would like to go.
So having reporters from different sides of the world would be something that would be helpful for you. What else?
Actually, that is reporters. So basically reporters they are writers, or they're just source information that they're, like our ears and eyes are like, oh, this is happening here. And they go.
So you want to build a global spy network in the nomad community.
I mean, I'm still gossip in my heart.
Yeah. So if you know some stuff that you think should be published in the magazine, reach out to Lera. What's the best way to contact you, Lera?
To Lera, nomadgossip.com. It's my email. So send me just an email.
Yeah, very easy. I think we'll put all the links in the show notes below. So we'll have maybe your LinkedIn account there as well. And of course, the link to the magazine. And I mean, for those of you who haven't seen it there in the first place, there's a very strong connection between the Nomad Magazine and Nomad Summit, because about 1 year ago at the Athens Nomad Fest, we have relaunched the Nomad Summit. So we chose this beautiful event in the heart of Greece to unveil on the stage that the Nomad Summit is coming back. And at first we're super grateful to the 4 organizers of the Athens Nomad Fest that they gave us this stage time without knowing what we would do. So it was a little surprise package for them as well. But we had shared it with Lera beforehand, and you were so generous, to share your Instagram account with us, so we could live stream that through the back then Nomad Gossip Magazine Instagram account.
Can I mention that when the first time you called me about bringing back Nomad Summit, I was sitting in a car with Johnny FD. We've been in Buenos Aires and we've been driving to a meeting. And
yeah, I remember.
You said, "Do you know Johnny?" Or something like that. I was like, "I sure do."
Yeah, he was sitting right next to you. That was when we were preparing this secretive launch. A couple of weeks before, I talked to a bunch of people, and like a very small bunch of people. And you were one of them with who I shared the secret beforehand. And
I appreciate your trust.
And I appreciate yours. I mean, giving us your Instagram account for this launch event is something that meant a lot.
I also want to remind you that you've been the very first writer and the very first advertiser when I had nothing yet to show you. So that is the trust that I value a lot.
This is maybe something that is very important when it comes to building business. I mean, this is a very interesting topic that you touch here, because I first heard about your story. You introduced me to the girls of Curves, the design agency that we then also hired for the redesign of Nomad Summit.
And they're amazing.
Oh yes. Highly recommend them for branding and design. And I think they also do a lot of tech work, websites. So building trust over time and building loyalty is something that will always carry your business. From my experience, I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for more than 25 years, and I know that there are ups and downs. And if you build trust at your ups, then you know you can rely on the loyalty of your partners when you have a down, when you maybe have like a liquidity crisis and are not able to pay your bill this month, but you've been the favorite customer of your suppliers for the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. They will not walk away from you if you are in a point of a crisis. And this is something that has always been very important to me. And if I see that there's someone doing a great job with a lot of passion, then I know building this mutual trust and building this support to each other is something that the other one will never forget, and you will not forget them, and that will build something very sustainable in the long run.
And on that note, I want to add that digital nomad ecosystem, which I already consider as an industry, is fascinating in a way of open partnerships, helping each other. It's a very friendly, positive place.
And it's a people business.
And it's a very people business. People doing this to first of all, living the best lifestyle that ever exists. So people genuinely happy. And when they're genuinely happy, they also bring this happiness to work. They bring this happiness to partners. We are internationally educated. We understand that we are different nationalities, people, and we are more tolerant to each other. So working in the digital nomad industry is actually very joyful, and I enjoy it.
Generally, yes. But this is also very important that you mentioned this, because it's a bit too generalized. The thing is, it is a people business, and over time you see who are the people that came to stay and who are genuine and who are true with what they're doing. And then you also see a lot of people come and go. And that's where it's, I think, super important to show at first that you are one of those that came to stay, and you find the others that came to stay and build something in the long run and build something sustainable, something honest and transparent.
Why do you think they go?
There are, so at first there are a lot of people who have a false perception of what this lifestyle is about. Maybe also decepted by Instagram influencers that only show the bright side and not how much of work and struggle it can actually be. And then they try this out and realize that it's not for them. Or it's people that are not traveling towards something and discovering something, but run away from something. And when they realize that they're not leaving their demons behind, the demons follow, then over that they realize that the nomad lifestyle, this location independent lifestyle, is not for them. For example, if they don't manage loneliness, if you are not happy with yourself being alone in a room for a while, then most probably this nomad lifestyle is not for you. Because yes, it is social. Yes, you meet a lot of people, but first you meet them as a shallow connection. To build deep and meaningful connections with people, that takes time, and sustaining this lifestyle for several years. A good balance of having places that you call home, that you return to, but also discovering new places where you need to meet new people. So you need to be clear with yourself and need to be happy with yourself. That's one of my perceptions. And then, of course, there are a lot of gold diggers, people looking for quick business opportunities, trying to sell something that they are not, that they cannot deliver, overselling and under-delivering. So there's a lot of reasons why people come and go. But then over time, you also learn to read people, you learn to understand what is true passion, and where someone is really there to build something sustainable. And that's what I immediately felt when I heard about your plans for this magazine. I mean, you might remember that I was asking a lot of questions at the beginning, then a lot of uncomfortable questions, because this was to see how honest you are with this and how much you have thought it through yourself. And getting the answers to these questions helped me to realize if you are not only for the bright side, but also willing to go through the valleys.
I mean, a lot of them.
And here we are today, years later. The magazine is thriving, and volume number 4 is coming out. Yeah, exactly. When?
Yes, it's coming. We plan in January.
January 2026. Yes,
we actually have it all put together. We're only waiting for 2 pieces. We're doing right now the competition for design competition for contests with the co-working spaces, and the active voting will be in October, and by the end of October we will have the winners that we will feature in the next edition. This is purely my passion project, because when I started to work with the co-working spaces to include them, to send them for free our magazines, I noticed how many beautiful co-working spaces out there, and we're just taking them for granted because we work in them all the time. But they put so much effort in design, in space, in vibe, in community, and everything. And I just wanted to feature that effort and show the best, the most amazing co-working spaces.
Wow, that sounds like an episode on its own.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, let's have a future episode with some co-working space owners and community managers, and have a little bit of a panel. Lera, thank you so much for taking the time for this episode. For everyone here, we will link everything in the show notes, and definitely make some magazines available at the next Nomad Summit in Chiang Mai in January, as well as at the remote work edition of the Nomad Summit in Tallinn in Estonia, a country where, by the way, little side hint, also Nomad Magazine has its company incorporated.
And by the way, congratulations for first bringing back the Nomad Summit, the most famous back then, and one of the first Nomad conferences for digital nomads, and also giving it second life. And now you're in the second year. That means it needed, it's welcomed in Chiang Mai, and great that you're doing this.
With great pleasure. It's a passion business. It's a side hustle, but one that has its rewards, definitely. And that's meeting a lot of interesting people. Like in next week's episode, every Wednesday, we'll come out with a new episode talking about personal stories of people living this nomad lifestyle and who are around in this community. If you like this episode, don't forget to subscribe on your favorite platform. You find us wherever you get your podcasts. Leave a review, share it with your friends, and hear you next week. Bye-bye.
Produced by radioguru.co.uk.